Hi, welcome back to Celebrating Culture. We're here today at the Great River Road Museum outside Darrow, Louisiana. And I'm with Jim Blanchard. Jim is a phenomenal architect and landscape designer, mostly known in New Orleans, but he's taken on a great project here in Darrow. Jim, welcome to the show.
Charles, thank you for being here.
How long have you been working on this project?
It was a dream. We started about 10 years ago to develop this as a project for a museum, dealing with the Corps of Engineers, the river, the state, the federal government. But finally we got it approved. We're very proud of it. It was worth the 10 years.
It is an amazing accomplishment. This originally was designed of a steamboat.
Steamboat was so important back then. It changed the whole economy of the United States. It was like the invention that changed everything. The steam engine and then the steamboat to be able to travel people and merchandise all through the waterways of America. So originally it was just steamboat was pretty much the main thought, but then it grew to the entire Mississippi River, the culture, the land, the people, the industries, the architecture, religion, a little bit of everything from pretty much Baton Rouge to the mouth of the river.
We now have acquired the figures from the Conti Wax Museum.
Yes, the Conti Museum closed about 5 years ago. The wax models were saved and they were put in storage. And we were lucky enough recently to acquire the wax models. We're just getting into putting them out now and taking them one by one, reattaching the arms that go to each one, the heads. It works really nice because the Wax Museum told a great story of the history of Louisiana, a very complete story. We are working that in with our exhibits, and it's helping to show our exhibits and our stories. It's making it very real for a lot of people to see figures and to know that was a real person.
As I walk through the front door,
in the design of the building, you're coming into pretty much a lobby with a pilot house, the grand staircases. So kind of the feeling that you enter a grand boat or a grand hotel or anything back then. And then from there you enter into the museum. The main exhibit in the museum is following River Road from New Orleans to Baton Rouge on the east bank. So you see all the places that were along the river, most of them. And then on the other side of the exhibit, you come back and it's from Baton Rouge to New Orleans on the west bank of the river. So for the first time, you can take that journey and actually see a lot of things that most people have never heard of. Buildings, places, towns, settlements. We really like for the person viewing it to interpret it, because everyone is going to interpret it according to what they know in their life and their knowledge. We don't want to ever say that our interpretation becomes history. It's just an interpretation.
Sure. And you have a lot of fun. You have Huey Long and Edward Edwards.
Edwards and Huey Long at the same table, which was impossible, 2 different time periods. But Huey Long was a big gambler. And then you have Edwin Edwards, known all over the world for his gambling and him pushing gambling in Louisiana. And we also, next to them, we have Bernard de Marigny and Governor Claiborne at a craps table playing cards. I don't think people realize how important New Orleans was to the United States back then. Before the Civil War, you had New York and New Orleans. New York had more buildings, more people, bigger space. New Orleans had all the monumental buildings, the palaces, the massive hotels, the massive public buildings, all the opera houses and theaters. New York didn't have all that. New Orleans built the first 2 great hotels in America in 1830s. Average hotels back then were 20 to 30 rooms. And New Orleans built the St. Charles and the St. Louis Hotel with hundreds and hundreds of rooms in each one. The world had never seen anything like it. You know, the St. Charles Hotel had a dome that was 200 feet up in the air. Nothing in New York was that tall. And then it burned in the 1850s, and a few years later they redesigned the United States Capitol with almost the same exact dome and portico. The U.S. Capitol is almost a copy of the version of the St. Charles Hotel. That hotel is never talked about in American architectural history. It's been forgotten. And it's odd that, you know, here was this most powerful buildings, and New Orleans is not really talked about. It's the Deep South.
Yes.
And it was not really considered America.
You have a riverboat collection as well, models.
Yes, we do. Quite a large collection. And also recently, the Maritime Museum in Baton Rouge, which is the USS Kidd, they have just donated to us all of their earlier maritime pieces.
You have some great Rex memorabilia.
We have the entire costume from Rex of 1916. We also have the wax mannequins of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, who the famous scene where they went and they bowed to Rex, which was quite an ordeal back then for real royalty to bow to New Orleans royalty. And then we also have the wax model of Duke Alexei of Russia, who visited Mardi Gras and Carnival.
Tell me about this room we're in now.
Well, this is our cafe here at the museum, and we've named it Dixie. And one of the reasons why is to tell the story of Dixie. Dixie's a word that is overused today. It was overused back then. Back then, when the steamboats would go down the Mississippi River towards New Orleans, when they approached the Little Red Church at Destrehan, St. Charles Borromeo, that was where they signaled the boats to blow their whistles so they could pay off the men on the boat. And the men were paid off in the French Dix notes, D-I-X, French for 10. So from that point south became known as the land of Dixie. So really, the land of Dixie is between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, south to New Orleans. And then everyone took it and it became the whole South. And then behind me, you'll see here, this is a mural that was purchased at auction. And it was originally done for the Empire State Building when it was constructed. And we actually designed this part of the building to fit this painting. And it's been rolled up and stored for about 50 years.
And the river boats are going to be pulling into here.
Yes, we're in the process of working with Viking and other cruise lines where they will dock here daily, where all their guests will come over and spend the day here and enjoy the property. And we just had our dedication of the bridge. We're very happy with Tracy from the Ascension Parish Tourism Department, along with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. We selected the name of the Sweet Spot.
Sweet Spot!
Which really describes Louisiana, describes Ascension Parish, and just gives a nice touch to how we can, promote our area. And with that, we created a drink. We created it based on Louisiana sugar and all the sweetness of Louisiana. We came up with the Louisiana Sweet Spot, a drink available here.
So if somebody wants to look up the museum, is there a website?
The Great River Road Museum, and then you can also look up under houmashouse.com.
Thank you for the years you've spent creating this great experience to tell Louisiana history. It's an amazing place, not just for New Orleans, but for Louisiana and really for the South. You tell the story so well of life on the Mississippi and how it goes from 1500s to really today. And the food here is incredible. To dine, to just take your time and absorb the gardens, the art, the history.
Our biggest issue here is getting people to realize what's here so they can come. Locals, people from other countries, come here and visit and enjoy what we have here to show. You can spend the whole day, spend the evening, have dinner, spend the night, have breakfast in the morning. We offer quite a bit here.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Celebrating Culture.